Freedom Day is worth celebrating. What time is it? It's question time. Welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tsedu. Today marks 22 years of the country's democratic dispensation. This year is of particular importance, though, as it marks the 60th anniversary of the 1956 Women's March in Pretoria and the 40th anniversary of the 1976 Soweto Student Uprisings. It is also the 20th year since 1996 when the country's constitution was adopted. And while government acknowledges the current challenges, it also emphasizes the importance of recognizing progress made so far. Today's Freedom Day is celebrated under the theme, Together Building Better Communities. Local government is everybody's business. We are live. Therefore, you can call us and air your views. The numbers to dial, 089-1104-210, 089-1104-210. Our Twitter handle @QuestionTime24. My guest today, former Constitutional Court Judge Johan Kriegler. Vivian Jonker is a student activist from the University of the Witwatersrand, and Ruby Echikowitz from the Echikowitz Family Foundation. Let me welcome you all to Question Time.
Nice to be here.
Thank you very much. Having a senior citizen and the youth together on Question Time today, something which we need to really work on quite a lot. But now, Dr. Kriegler, let's look at some of the things that you really think that are worth celebrating in South Africa. 22 years since democracy.
I think there are a large number of things that we don't realize we should be celebrating.
Yes.
And very few of us remember precisely how bad things were back in those days 22 years ago.
Yes.
I've been looking at some video footage over the last couple of days, armed marches in Johannesburg, bombs going off, low-grade civil war in rural KwaZulu-Natal, people invading the conference center.
Yes.
We've come an enormously long way since then. Of course, we're not in paradise. We've got problems at the moment, but we're infinitely better off than we were, and we must never forget that.
Do the young people sitting next to you acknowledge that?
I think so. I think that we are the born-free generation, and so we're lucky because we don't have the monkeys on our shoulders that happened back in the terrible times of our country. But I definitely feel that we are empowered today. We are empowered to be ourselves. We're empowered by our Constitution, which we're celebrating the 20-year anniversary of today on our Freedom Day. And I believe that we are free. We are most certainly free, especially compared to how bad it used to be.
Yeah.
And I think often people get so caught up in the challenges that we're facing and get so caught up in all the negative things that are going on that they do forget that there is so much to celebrate and so much that we are lucky to have in this country, and how protected we actually are by our constitution in comparison to other countries as well.
Well, you've referred to indeed something which is a fact, of course, that there are challenges that we face as a country, like any other country, I guess. But when this whole process started, you were involved in, a lot of milestone programs that led to, ushering this 22 years today of democracy. Did you envisage this type of a society?
No, I'd have to lie if I said I envisaged what was what we have today. We were very much stepping into the dark. We had a great deal of optimism,
yes,
a great deal of faith, but I'm not sure that any of us had a great deal of really realistic vision of where we were going.
Yeah. What would you say freedom is supposed to mean to an ordinary person?
Oh, freedom number one is recognizing the dignity of every human being. The right of every human being to decide for her or himself with whom to associate, with whom not to associate, which language to speak, which schools to choose for your children, which political party to belong to, which government to choose. Those are the essential qualities of a human being.
Yes.
To make your own mistakes, make your own choices,
Yes.
be responsible and accountable for your own life and your own values and your own actions. That's freedom.
Well, I'm not trying to really, put you against, a senior citizen, but for young people, what does freedom mean?
I think there are two parts to answering that question. Firstly, it's not being stopped from doing anything that you want to do, but it's also being given the platform to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that comes in, I think, with a lot of the obligations that are put on the state in the Constitution, which they need to give to citizens to be able to enjoy the freedoms that the Constitution envisages.
Okay. Oscar, are you in Beggersford? Hello, Oscar?
Yeah.
Are you in Beggersford?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Paul, I just want to put a tune that just
I'm battling to hear you, Oscar. I think that line is very, very bad. There's something that can be done there to make sure that Oscar... Oh, okay. Oscar then disappeared. But the one thing which is coming out really is that, freedom, it's your... your ability as well, or the fact that you would be allowed to speak your mind as a young person and all that. And another leader has just spoken his mind. He will pick up arms and fight the South African government. What do you think?
It's an interesting question, because we are protected by our Constitution for our freedom of speech and to voice our opinions, and perhaps that is his opinion, and we might not necessarily agree with it, but if that is what he said, if he stands firmly behind it, I think that we have the responsibility to dignify him with his opinion.
Okay. Butan, you are in Limpopo.
Yes, thank you very much, Mpho. I just want to echo the sentiments that as a young democracy in South Africa, we should never forget about the lives that were lost to attain our democracy. And we should never take for granted the institutions that the young democracy in South Africa has built. We must strengthen that. We must strengthen the institution, the Public Protector, Chapter 9 institutions. And yes, we will have challenges, but we must never despair on the cause of freedom. We must respect as young people as a born free. I am happy to be part and parcel of South Africa's young democracy. Thank you very much, Mpho.
Thank you so much, Butani, calling us from Limpopo. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue our discussion. You can call us on the numbers on the screen there, 089-1104-210, or tweet us, our Twitter handle at Question Time 2. For this Question Time, we'll return shortly.
News is Newsroom.
We also stream live on YouTube.
Whether you're at home, at the office, or at the gym, wherever you are, Newsroom is right there with you. Bringing you all the latest news, updates, sports, weather, and everything in between. Get all the latest news you need on the go via live streaming on our YouTube channel. That's Newsroom, weekdays at 9 a.m. only on the SABC News Channel.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time today on Freedom Day. My guests, former Constitutional Court Judge Johan Krichler and Ruby Ichkovitz from the Ichkovitz Family Foundation, and Vivian Jonker is a student activist from this University of the Witwatersrand. But firstly, let's have a look at what President Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma had to say today.
Work has continued since 1994 to improve the living conditions of the people, to undo the legacy of exclusion and neglect. Many communities and households were without electricity, water, roads, transport, clinics, providing quality health care or state-of-the-art schools. The democratic government has since 1994 spent each year delivering such services.
Well, that's what was happening today in Gyan. Bongani, you're in Cape Town. Welcome.
Yes, welcome.
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to ask a question with respect to Judge Krichler.
Yes.
With utter respect.
Yes.
How many of the ANC commandants did he declare to hang? As we celebrate the Freedom Day today, how many of our liberation masses he declared that they must be hanged, wrongly or rightly?
Oh, do you want him to, are you holding on?
Yeah, to tell us how many of our comrades he sent them to the gallows.
Okay.
His history.
Okay, do you want him to answer as you're holding the line?
Yes.
Okay, hold the line there. Let's hear. Do you have the number?
I don't follow the question.
Okay, he doesn't follow the question. Bongani, do you want to rephrase? Bongani?
I'm not refraining. My question
No, not refraining. Rephrase the question.
The phrase is saying,
yes,
since he practiced his own course or even practice, how many of our people he declared to them to go to the gallows?
Okay, you get the question. Okay, the question is, how many
You
people?
tell me what the question is.
Okay, the question
I'll do
is,
my best.
how many people, ANC combatants or freedom fighters, did you declare to the gallows?
Not a single one. I don't know where the question comes from.
Were you a judge?
Of course I was a judge.
In the apartheid movement?
Of course I was, yes.
Well, I guess this question is during your time as a judge under an apartheid government.
Yes.
Did you ever preside over political cases?
Political cases, no. Cases in the criminal court arising out of unrest, yes, I did.
Okay. And did you ever
I never
send
sentenced
anybody
to death for a criminal offence, no.
Well, did you ever send anybody?
I sentenced 2 people to death in my life. One was a rogue cop who raped and murdered 3 people up in the Tsanin area. The other was a guy down in southeastern Mpumalanga who also went on a murder spree. That's it.
Nothing political?
Nothing. Well, of course they were political. The one was a policeman exercising state force, using a police vehicle in an apartheid community. Yes. To that extent, everything is political.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Bongani, you heard it. Let's look at 2016. There are a lot of challenges. As young people, you would agree. I mean, at university, you're facing your own challenges of your own there. But despite all these challenges, are you optimistic about the future of South Africa?
100%. Definitely.
What makes you optimistic?
I think if you look at our history and what we've achieved in the last, not only 22 years, but over the whole bringing in the Constitution,
yes,
there's absolutely no reason to be negative if we've already achieved so much good. I think it would be quite sad for people to be pessimistic in light of that.
You've got a copy of the Constitution there and a hashtag I'm Constitution t-shirt there. How important is that document?
I think that this document, and I'm sure the judge would agree, is probably our most precious asset of our country. Because it allows us to be an embodiment of our democracy and to live it every day and to act on what values we stand for. And I think it's important for us young people to be able to look at this document, see its ideals, and realize the responsibilities, and how if we live through these every day, then we can be optimistic about everything. We can realize that we have this platform. Now, 22 years into democracy, we have the platform as the young generation to take our country to the next level.
Hold it there. Ruambo in Limpopo, welcome.
Hi, good evening, Mpho.
Loco where?
I'm excited in this day of celebrating independence. That's for the start.
Okay.
Number two, I think we should also take a note that the so-called freedom should come up not just with the freedom of speech or association, but also with the responsibility and accountability on top of that. And beyond that, we need those who went out in exile and come back. They must not just come back with the stories of bad news. They must come back with the good, what happened, some other good stories to tell when they were in Dodoma, Tanzania or Lusaka, so that it should also help integrate with also reducing the xenophobic attacks that we've got in here. Because people, they associate the comrades who went outside with pain, but nothing that have gained from the other side of the country.
Okay.
Yes. So we need a freedom that comes up with a responsibility and accountability, so we can move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rambo. That's quite a dimension. In that, indeed, normally people would, when we talk freedom, just talk about their basic rights, which as an individual they enjoy, but forget that. You know, this freedom, if we were to understand it holistically, indeed, we wouldn't be experiencing some of these problems which he has alluded to. One, xenophobic attack. If South Africans knew and understood that this freedom which they are enjoying today was actually came at the cost of countries like Zambia, for instance.
Certainly. Freedom cost a great deal to achieve. Freedom costs a great deal to maintain. It requires all of us at all times to be vigilant, not only in recognition of our own freedom, but our recognition of other people's freedoms and their entitlement to live their life according to their best abilities, and us to recognize it and honor it. It's a great responsibility, it's a great privilege for which people died over many, many decades, and we must always appreciate that.
Okay, Archie, you are in Welkom in the Free State.
Yes, good day to all of you.
Good day, Archie.
I see your audience or your people, the panel there. You couldn't find any. I guess you couldn't find anybody from the township just to rainbow your panel. But then let me pass on.
But the point being, Archie, I'm not going to let you pass on without just telling us the point. What would be the point there, so that we understand, and if it's a mistake, we don't commit it again.
Okay, I would have thought that now, I mean, especially with you having the judge there, you would have had one or a color from the township, if you understand what I mean, who also would really comment on your topic.
Okay, that is the only challenge, right?
Okay, yes,
okay.
Yes.
No, go ahead.
Let me pass on.
Sure, go ahead.
Judge Chrysler, after the elections of 1994, yes, just vanished. Quicker than he had come. I thought he was leaving us to blunder forward, because you remember he was responsible for those elections. But then now, as we are looking for the follow-up, he was just out of there. And then the last question would be, a lot of people, especially from the PAC judge, they talk about some of their members still in jail. Do you have an idea of what they are talking about?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I just don't hear these guys.
Okay, well, let me repeat it. He
The
says,
sound is not perfect.
he says a lot of PAC guys are saying they are not, they are still in jail for political...
I'm aware of some of those cases.
Oh, well, that's what he wanted to know, if you were aware.
I know, certainly I'm aware. I'm aware, for instance, of the guys near Kroonstad, the fellows from Kroonstad.
Yes.
2 fellows there. I think it's a disgrace. I am as powerless as our caller to do anything about it.
Okay. Do you guys know about this? The PAC guys who are still in jail?
No, I didn't know.
For fighting for liberation?
I was not aware of that.
Okay. Let's take Courage. Courage Mangwiro, you are in Gauteng. Welcome.
Yeah, Mpho, thank you so much for allowing me to participate in the program.
You're welcome.
I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate South Africa for their 22nd Freedom Day. Yes. And considering what really South Africa had to go through in order to achieve this, it is really a significant milestone that we as Africans also emulate. And one outstanding fact that I have to highlight, Mpho,
yes,
is this distinct kind of signs of democracy that exist in South Africa. If you take, for instance, many countries around the African continent, well, yes, they were liberated, they are independent, but we don't see those signs of democracy, even if they actually, claim to be democratic. Look at South Africa. There is no flouting of the constitution. Civil societies are free to participate. Non-state actors, opposition parties are free to go on with their day-to-day activities. That is what we want to see in Africa. Okay. So I would like to once again, highlight that African states should, take a leaf from this blessed nation of Africa, South Africa, and do the same for the prosperity of Africa, and also for meaningful freedom, for democracy to make sense. Because we cannot claim to be democratic as African states when opposition parties are, oppressed and suppressed. We cannot, really. People's voices have to be articulated in whatever way they want, and that's freedom. So,
all right, Courage, perhaps before you go, is the freedom that you enjoy in South Africa the same as, fellow Zimbabweans are enjoying back in Zimbabwe?
Oh yes, Mpho. I mean, look at how free our opposition parties are. Recently, we had this ZPF being launched. They launched in Zimbabwe. They are free. They are, campaigning. Even though it's a pie in the sky, I mean, they are free, and civil society is free.
Okay.
MDC was also had a star rally, last week, what they call the star rally. I mean, they're free to go on with their day-to-day activities. So,
all right, Courage, thank you.
One example of a democratic, nation in Africa.
Okay, thank you very much, Courage. Very quickly, we've run out of time.
I'm a guest here. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to insult somebody. Yeah. I disagree with the caller. I think about 1 million Zimbabweans who are in this country as refugees from Zimbabwe also disagree with him. We do not have the kind of freedom here than they have north of the Limpopo. Okay. Thank God.
Your message to young people very quickly.
I think, well, firstly, as I said earlier, to remain positive despite the challenges, and to really use the mechanisms that we do actually have to make sure the Constitution gets fulfilled. My message is simple. Read the Constitution, embrace it, and live it. And by doing that, we can empower all of us to create the future that we all want to see.
Okay, on that note, we are also empowered to say goodbye.